minority rule, or just 5% of the most liberal statewide voters in one Missouri congressional district, that block any citizen-led reform, making it nearly impossible to pass common-sense conservative citizen ballot measures.
That's crazy town stuff.
And we've needed our citizen ballot measure power to pass some big conservative stuff, like outlawing tax hikes without voter approval, lobbyist reforms, and term limits for career politicians.
No way I'm letting a tiny fraction of liberals derail our conservative power. I'm no on Amendment 4.
Hard no on 4.
Petty 4 buttons are inch per care governance.
It's a brand new show on News Talk STL, JC's Sunday Showgram.
The Major League Baseball All-Star Game was held in St. Louis this week back in 2009. We'll go back and visit with two of the celebrities that played in the softball game, Webster's Jenna Fisher from The Office and Conan's sidekick Andy Richter. Plus, I'll tell the story of how Bob Costas' wife got me in trouble with Kevin Costner's people in Hollywood. All brought to you by the Weber Automotive Group.
Sunday morning, 7 to 9. Then podcast each Monday on newstalkstl.com.
Chris Arps here, and after Becky and I leave church on Sunday, we head down the street to Capriotti's to grab a classic meatball sub. I love Capriotti's, and you will too. Visit Capriotti's now at 2 locations on Manchester, McKnight, and Rock Hill, and now in Creve Coeur on Olive, just 1 mile west of 270.
You work hard, follow the rules, and get absolutely slammed by taxes. Your paycheck, taxed. Your property, taxed. Everything you buy, taxed. Missouri's tax system isn't broken, it's rigged against you. The lawyers and lobbyists working for big corporations and the super rich buried over 200 loopholes for themselves in our tax code. While they pay nothing on the services they use, working families are taxed over and over. It's no wonder they're lying about Amendment 5. Our corrupt tax system is rigged in their favor. They're getting a free ride on your back. Don't believe their lies. The truth is, Amendment 5 closes loopholes exploited by the super rich and slashes taxes paid by Missouri's working families, phasing out income taxes and cutting property taxes. They finally pay what they owe while you keep what you earn. Vote yes on Amendment 5. Paid for by Missouri Promise PAC.
News Talk STL. This hour of the Allman Report brought to you by STL Fenceworks, celebrating 50 years of industry-leading service for fence, deck, and leisure space solutions. Visit stlfenceworks.com.
That's pretty cool. I didn't even see that one coming. The Palm Beach International Airport is now Donald J. Trump International Airport. I think that is absolutely fantastic. Very cool. That was just came out of nowhere, everybody. Good afternoon, and ladies and gentlemen, happy Thursday to all of yours. This is the 3 Martini Lunch. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here with you. Ashton over there. Tim Jones is going to be joining us just around the 1 o'clock zone to kind of we're going to kind of roll through Amendments 4 and 5, and frankly, I realize everybody should be boned up on it, but I think part of the goal of these amendments and things like that basically is to confuse people. Either confuse people sufficiently enough to vote yes or confuse people sufficiently enough to vote no. That's why the initiative petition reform is so obnoxious in terms of how slow it's going, and we're not doing enough reform, and so we're just throwing all these amendments up on these ballots, and it is flooding the zone, and it is very confusing. But I trust Tim to be able to kind of walk us through it because he saw all of this in its genesis and how it from the very beginning. So we're going to talk a little bit about that because normally what happens is for a lot of people, who don't live politics, when people start talking about amendments, their eyes glaze over, and that's just the reality of it. That doesn't mean that people are dumb or whatever. It just means that sometimes politics is overwhelming. Nobody understands what's going on, and they don't understand what the amendments are or anything like that. Well, anyway, it turns out that being an alleged rapist really did damage the reputation of a Nazi. And so the Democrat Party dumped Graham Plattner. Graham Plattner then dumped himself, and that was it. Really quickly, before we get on to what's really important, because nobody really necessarily cares about Graham Plattner, except for the fact that he's a poster boy for a deteriorating Democrat Party. And I just want you to know, a lot of people, mainly Trump supporters, some of them are like, I don't know what I should say anything. Goes, wasn't Trump accused, blah, blah, blah. He was accused in a decades-old case by some nut job, whack job chick who remains a nut job, whack job chick. And whether there's a civil suit or whatever, there's no comparison to Donald Trump. So don't even try to make any excuses for it or wherever. Don't be afraid to judge Graham Plattner, for that matter, the Democrat Party, for sticking by him. And it's weird how the Nazi tattoo wasn't enough, that it took an alleged rape, a second alleged sexual assault, but the first one was from a Republican, so it was ignored, and the second one from a Democrat, they take it seriously, what have you. But let's just put it this way. I think we're starting to get the idea, and don't be afraid to draw this conclusion, because this is the real, okay? This is the real part of it. The Democrat Party is the party of full-on white trash. There is no question about it. People involved, right down to Chuck Schumer, are the very definition of white trash. The Biden family with Hunter Biden and Dr. Jill, who fakes her credentials and acts as if she's like a real doctor or whatever it happens to be. Joe Biden, who assaults 12-year-olds during Senate confirmation hearings. Bill Clinton. Hillary Clinton is the biggest white trash of them all. And we kind of forget that these people are just people. If these people were walking around someplace in a grocery store, you'd spot them as white trash right away. I don't normally do that. I'm not a judger on that level, but don't be afraid to use the term. And as for the black Democrats, well, that's basically just the cast of Fat Albert. I mean, it's really, there's nothing serious about any of them. Hakeem Jeffries, Jasmine Crockett, all those individuals. I mean, it's just write them off. But the people around the Democrat Party, that's full-on white trash. And there is such a thing as it, and these people embody it. They just have different airs, you know. We call that sometimes, there are sometimes people who are really, well, if you take, for instance, the Beverly Hillbillies, right, which is a great show. I love the Beverly Hillbillies, but they were people who kind of came into money but still had the hillbilly part of them. And listen, I love me some hillbillies, everything else. I love Appalachia. I love Andrew Jackson. I love Bill Monroe, all that kind of stuff. I don't need to kind of delineate this because I don't want people to think that I'm being a snob, but just listen to what I'm saying about who these people are. And sometimes we call it, sometimes you call it, in the modern day, you call it construction money. And I'll leave it at that for you. But nonetheless, it's people who kind of like have all these big houses, all this kind of stuff, but really in the end are kind of trashy, like me, But no, they're just kind of that way. And so, but they come across as royalty. Like Bill Clinton will rape an intern with a cigar and still walk around like he's the king of Siam. You know what I mean? Hillary Clinton will lie, cheat, steal, bit wash her emails and do all kinds of stuff, get an ambassador killed in Benghazi, and still act like she's some kind of queen of Sheba. So you get the picture of what I'm trying to talk about here and what I'm doing. Liz Warren, she's lied about her ethnicity, Pocahontas, and she still is considered to be the standard bearer of the Democrat Party. Chuck Schumer, who is an absolute freak and, in my opinion, morally corrupt in terms of all of his lying and everything else. I mean, it is an absolute gallery of you-know-what bags. It's pretty crazy. MSN Now had an interesting little view of the Graham Plattner suspending my video, my campaign video, and it really is interesting. Oh, by the way, we have our own trash, by the way, like Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, those kind of people are our own version of the white trash, just in case you were wondering if there's somebody in our realm who are like that, like Candace Owens, who still hasn't owned up to her lies about Charlie Kirk's murder and her conspiracy theories and all her grifting nonsense. So, but I'll talk about that a little later on. Anyway, MSN Now didn't really buy into Plattner's little exit video. It's interesting.
From the bottom of my heart, thank you. Thank all of you.
Sounds like he ought to be like voicing Disney wildebeest or something. What's up with this roid voice? But anyway, yeah.
And keep fighting. We're going to win someday.
Well, that was Graham Plattner officially announcing that he is dropping off of the ballot for Maine Senate, for federal Senate from Maine, but taking zero responsibility for any of the scandals and more troubling things in his past that have destroyed that campaign, instead blaming, corporate media, the political establishment, lots of hate for the political establishment, saying that we banded together, we did it the way we were told we were supposed to make change and we won, and now they are not going to let us have it. So lots of finger pointing and blame and not taking any responsibility. Note that whoever he conceives of as the political establishment, you do have many of his once allies, including Bernie Sanders and Ro Khanna, also calling for him to drop out. People who believe many of the same policy ideas, believe in many of the same policy ideas.
And it's so crazy how all these guys were A-okay with his Nazi tattoo and all the crap he put out on Reddit and all that kind of stuff. It's funny how it seems like a lot of Democrats, when they're caught like on the internet from 10 years ago, it's like that. When I was young, it's like, you weren't young. You were 25 years old. 25-year-olds don't post crap like that on the internet or on Twitter or on Reddit or whatever. But for some reason, as a Democrat, you don't actually mature until you're about 40. That's how things go. But it's funny how these people all supported this guy while simultaneously calling President Trump a Nazi. They had a guy who really actually had a Nazi tattoo, who they were A-OK with.
That Graham Plattner himself says that he was taken down for. He also said during that 10-minute video that all we were asking for was health care, was to end the genocide, to use our taxpayer dollars at home to uplift our communities instead of waging war overseas. We were asking for a fair system. We are asking for an end to the corruption. So,
anyway, that's the end of that. And so I don't even know who's going to replace him. Susan Collins is going to be reelected there in Maine. It's not going to be any problem. Speaking of the United States Senate, there's seemingly an obsession over the whereabouts of Mitch McConnell. And I've determined that it looks like there's a reason possibly why Republicans are trying to kind of keep him cryogenically frozen, so to speak, because there's something at stake here over the next 90 days. The next 90 days, we're getting into November. It's hard to believe, but it's true. And if Mitch McConnell is dead, then the Republican Party and they can appoint, and even the Democrats can appoint somebody to run for a special election. So there'd be a call for a special election. And if there was a special election held for Mitch McConnell's seat, you know who would possibly run as a Republican for Mitch McConnell's seat and possibly even win? Thomas Massie. So there may be a reason why they are trying to hide it, but there seems to be also a really unusual amount of attention being paid to the whereabouts of Mitch McConnell, which a lot of you are like, I don't know where he is. I'm not really thinking about it. You guys, there's this story about a Tennessee train conductor. It's a crazy story, but it's kind of a good one. He got burned by some woke people on his train. So we'll follow up on that. Also, ladies and gentlemen, we'll double back on, I don't know whether you've been paying attention to the the Charlie Kirk trial. But yesterday, the evidence, video evidence and beyond, blew every single conspiracy theory out of the water. Every single one. And yet all the people who were pushing the conspiracy theories are suddenly not saying a word. So we'll follow up on that as well. And then now Jimmy Kimmel's fill-in claims that she is being targeted by the Trump administration. I guarantee you're not going to know who she is. So I'm just letting you know. It's Common Sense Radio. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL. The 3 Martini Lunch.
Is absolutely fantastic.
Yes, I listen on my phone.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
It is awesome.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app and listen anytime, anywhere.
Ladies and gentlemen, I will tell you that Hanson's Tree Service is there for you on all levels. Sometimes it's all about safety. Sometimes it's about beauty. Sometimes it just is about making sure your trees and your shrubs and even your flowers are so well taken care of by the Hanson's Tree Service spirit. Chad Hanson has made it a point to continue the grand tradition of his late great dad, Jeff, who started Hanson's Tree Company on a dream, and Chad has fulfilled that dream to ways I'm sure Jeff would be so proud of, and is, as he looks at Chad from heaven. So here's the deal. Chad has come up with an idea about financing tree projects because sometimes they can be expensive. Even if Hanson's is one of the best price performers in the tree service market, sometimes people just are like, hey, I can't write a check right now to get this tree out, whatever. And you can finance it to make it easier for you because you don't want to make a decision that could affect your property or your safety of your family or yourself just because you don't have the outlay right now. So Chad wants to make it easy for you to take care of yourself and your family and your property. So for tree takedowns and deadwooding and pruning, all that kind of stuff, financing is available. Also, when it comes to mulch, you can order it online now. So Chad has taken it into 2026, and you can order online, as well as the composting, which I call the magic bean, which is great for your shrubs, even your trees, and certainly for your flowers. If you're fall planting or thinking about fall planting, make sure you mark down the magic bean as something you need to order from Hanson's Tree Service, original supporters of free, common sense, conservative radio, and onward to the Allman Report here at News Talk STL. HansonsTree.com. That's HansonsTree.com.
Do you know why I endorse Cafe Napoli, all the locations? Visit any of them, and you will quickly appreciate the quality of food, service, atmosphere. So maybe I'll see you at Cafe Napoli in Clayton, Napoli Kirkwood, Napoli 2 in Town and Country, Napoli 3 in St. Charles, right next door to Napoli C. Or maybe you'll find me at Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta in the Chesterfield Valley. Now you know why I endorse Napoli, NapoliSTL.com.
Bill, that's a big smile for an old politician.
I'm thinking about our plan. It's slick enough to make a lobbyist blush. First, we hoodwink voters with Amendment 5. Tell them it's a tax cut. Once they're hooked, we decide who pays the higher taxes.
So it's not a tax cut plan, and we don't get a say?
Right, just swaps who pays the tax, but it does remove 3 voter-passed taxpayer constitutional protections. That lets us levy new taxes on services, increase sales taxes, and even tax home sales. And voters will no longer get to vote on tax hikes.
Higher sales taxes on groceries, gas, service taxes on doctor visits, childcare, and even rent on apartments. Jeez. Taxes could exceed 20%.
Sure, they figure that up to 80% of taxpayers will pay more taxes. Many, hundreds more. Seniors, they'll get hit even harder. But our big donors will cut a fat hog.
The ones getting butchered by Amendment 5 are most taxpayers. I'm voting no on 5.
Paid for by Missourians for fair taxation.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
In 1992, there was a movie titled White Men Can't Jump. The comedy based on a white basketball player who could not compete. Supposedly, he couldn't jump. I bring this up because of what sports commentator Stephen A. Smith said after seeing 3 white men on the roster for the L.A. Lakers. Smith said, "This ain't golf. This ain't baseball. It ain't even soccer." Chicago pastor Corey Brooks, who is black, complained that Smith was saying basketball belongs to blacks, only blacks. Pastor Brooks said, "Let's call this what it is: racism, tribalism, division, entitlement." And Pastor Brooks added, "Michael Jordan didn't wake up every morning and work on his blackness." And then you have Boston Celtics legend Larry Bird. So white men can jump. And so can any man or woman, regardless of color. Maybe outjump someone else, but not because of their color. Pastor Brooks added, the Lakers would hire purple dudes as long as they could jump and win.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
When you count on Connor, you're getting the timeless American values that have guided our company from day one. Hard work, impeccable service, and honesty. At Connor Roofing, you aren't just getting a roof, you're getting safeguarded by a neighbor who cares. When you count on Connor, you're receiving protection for your home, your family, and your peace of mind.
Visit ConnorRoofing.com.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Yes, I listen on my phone.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
Love the all-new News Talk STL app.
It is awesome.
And listen anytime.
Love the News Talk STL app.
Anywhere.
The Allman Report, sponsored by Gemini Wealth Group.
Good afternoon, y'all. It's the 3 Martini Lunch, and it's Common Sense Radio, my friends. Jamie Allman here with you in Ashland over there. Did I tell you guys already that the tomato plant that I taped up with Gorilla Glue tape back in the old days when I broke the stem, taking it out of its thing to replant it? So it gave me like 8 tomatoes. They're like nice little vine tomatoes. And then it looked like it was stopping growing. It's like, man, it gave you all I could. You know, I mean, I gave you just, gave you all those tomatoes I could do. You taped me up. What can I say? I'm like, yeah, but that's pretty cool that you grew all those tomatoes after you were taped up. It's like, I know, but now I'm tired. I don't know. That's at least what I thought it was saying to me. And then next thing I know, I keep watering it. I've always done that with things that look like they're dying. I keep watering them for a little bit. Because I had an idea. Well, if it dies at this point, stops providing fruit, I'm just going to I'm gonna actually pull it out and put the taped up vine in a window box. Not a window box, but a shadow box for a memory. Because I'm crafty like that. So next thing I know, I'm watering it. And I'll be darned if that thing isn't now growing another level of tomatoes. I'm like, dag, man. Tomatoes are cool. They're very, very resilient. They're cool little examples of God's plan. It's really cool. And a lot of people I've been talking to, my peppers aren't growing. It's like, you have to wait. The peppers are just now going to start. I mean, I've had the jalapenos grow. I mean, those are like the easiest things. They'll grow in January, for crying out loud. But the other peppers, I have some Cubanelles that are growing pretty well, and the wax peppers are pretty good. Those are nice in salads and stuff like that. Those grow pretty easily. They're easily, but your serranos and your poblanos and some of your other ones are going to wait. They wait because they're like, it's too cool out here right now, and you're watering me too much also. So I want it to be hot. And so now it's starting, you'll start seeing peppers because you'll start seeing the flowers, all that kind of stuff. So don't worry your little heads. All right, looks like you guys saw a little bit of the story about President Trump switching planes and doing all that kind of thing. I don't think there's any question, and this isn't a big deal. And it's a switcheroo and whatever, and the new plane flew to the UK and all that other stuff, and then the original Air Force One went home, and I don't have any doubt that there probably was some concern, either A, about what's in the plane, it being a new plane and everything else, and being made overseas, whatever, or even a matter of threats or what have you. According to some people, and I think it was reported even on Fox, that on the way back from the NATO meeting from Turkey, they were asked to close their window shades on Air Force One. Some of the people in the plane were asked to close their window shades. So I don't know. I'm sure it was a precaution, especially considering what was going on in Iran and, what was happening there. And so you're in the middle of bombing another country, and it's Iran, and they're terrorists, and the terrorists are all over the world. And so that's pretty much how that all went down. And so I think that there's a strong possibility that there was some kind of threat, and that's what was going on there. President Trump addressed a little bit of that, especially the Iran assassination plot when he was talking with Marco Rubio and beyond.
Bad people, very bad people. I think they're incompetent, by the way. Because if they were competent, they would have made a deal a long time ago, like how about 47 years ago. So they've been in trouble for 47 years, and we took out their first set of leaders. We took out their second set of leaders. They want to take out the U.S. leader, me. I'm on every list. I saw a thing this morning. I'm on every single one of their lists. And so far, I guess I've been a little bit lucky, but that maybe doesn't last very long because that's the way it goes. But we have great people. But these are evil, sick people, and we have to rid their cancer. Their cancer. And you know what you do? You got to cut out cancer early. Man, that's the way I feel.
Yeah. So, he's basically like, if I'm going to go, you're going to go. So you got to be you're going to be on my airplane one way or the other, and so your best interest is to just kind of keep your mouth shut and don't ask any more questions, and let's just carry on. In the meantime, this is really funny. So CNN, there's an online parody account for this GOP politician. And it's Representative Jack Kimball is the parody account, and it was kind of making fun of all the excuses made by people when it comes to like how what Mitch McConnell's been up to and all the meetings they've been having with him and everything else. And so this parody account put out a tweet that they basically were quoted, but they didn't quote it fully. So this is what the original parody account said, and it's pretty funny. It says, I spoke to my old friend Mitch McConnell this morning. This is Representative Jack Kimball, right? Congressman Jack Kimball. It's a totally parody account. I spoke to my old friend Mitch McConnell this morning, the senior senator from Kentucky. He's still recovering in the hospital. We talked for just shy of 45 minutes. He's so sharp. Just like always, he let me do all the talking. He's a great listener. After that, we prayed silently for a while and had a staring contest. Just like always, he beat me. I told him we want to see him back at work as soon as possible. Now, that's obviously a joke, and the staring contest is a reference to Mitch McConnell, but CNN used the tweet in its coverage.
We have a lot of Senate Republicans coming out. We're going to just show some on screen, Isaac, all saying, I talked to him for 20 minutes, I talked to him for 45 minutes. We're hearing these pundits talk not just about his potential health, but what they think the issue is.
So what they did was they took, I just read you the whole tweet, but they took the bottom part of it out about the staring contest and just like him letting me do all the talking. So they stopped it. He's so sharp and took the stuff that would have easily given it away as a parody out of it. So that's really what you get when it comes to these corrupt journalists. It was a joke, and they used it to sit there and doubt the credibility of people who say they're talking to Mitch McConnell. That's the level of treachery you get in the news media. Meanwhile, Newsmax, I think they're going a little bit crazy on the Mitch McConnell thing, but this is
story gets even stranger.
Carl Higbick, or whatever his name is.
John Thune, John Barrasso,
Rob
both
Finnerty.
claimed They had 20-minute phone calls with Kentucky Senator Mitch McConnell, who's been in the hospital for almost a month. Scott Jennings, CNN, made the exact same claim. And I think I just assumed, like most normal people, that today we'd get like a video from the senator from the hospital thanking people for the support, the prayers, and letting them know that he's doing okay.
Why? And I get it that there's some question that because the GOP would have actually a reason if Mitch McConnell were dead to pretend he's not, because if he's dead or totally incapacitated, it could kick in a special election that would have to happen within 90 days. That would be November. And, of course, at that point, there's some fear that Thomas Massey would be the one that would run in the special election and suddenly be in the U.S. Senate. So there's a lot of people thinking that they're keeping Mitch McConnell up in the attic in his rocking chair as a skeleton or something. I don't know, but I know that Newsmax is freaking about it. So,
but that didn't happen. And the question is why? Where?
And again, the idea of Mitch McConnell in a hospital bed having to either shoot a video or whatever. Any of you who've ever been in the hospital and something serious happened or whatever, the chances normally are pretty good that you're not going to do a hospital bed video for the public. Sometimes, obviously, if I've seen people do that before, but the fact of the matter is, the idea of even our friends over at Newsmax, I expected to see a video of him in his hospital bed thanking everybody. It's like, I don't know, man. I don't.
Mitch McConnell, what is going on? The governor of Kentucky, Andy Beshear, launching an investigation today, requesting a formal update on his, quote, health and well-being amid growing concerns around the senator's ability to serve. This is no longer a fringe story, but it gets even more strange when you factor this in. Under Kentucky state law, if McConnell resigned or died, a special election would have to happen within 90 days, meaning before the November elections, meaning someone like Congressman Thomas Massey could run in that race and potentially win, which is not something Republicans want.
Yeah, so that's why there's possible reason. I mean, it makes sense, even though obviously it's treacherous, it makes sense that they would try to pretend he's not dead. But here's the thing. This is one of those, and the conspiracy theories are really so easy to come up with. We saw all of the psychopaths like Megyn Kelly and Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson and others who completely were blown out of the water. They lost all credibility yesterday in the Charlie Kirk trial that provided evidence, video evidence, that Charlie Kirk's killer was there 4 times during the day. You saw him on the roof, everything else. There was no exploding microphone or whatever. And the one question remains, 30-06. I say, you've never seen a 30-06. It's like the guy who testified. It's like your neck is muscle and bone. It's not hard for a neck to stop a bullet. So, again, this is embarrassing when people are starting just to engage in conspiracy theories. And of course, the obvious question is always, well, if this were the case, like, for instance, in the case of Charlie Kirk, we'd probably know by now, somebody would have come forward, whatever. And it's always the worst thing about conspiracies is that they never present the alternative answer. Like in an investigative report, which is something I used to do all the time, the first thing you do is challenge your assumptions. The first thing you do is challenge even the evidence you find instead of moving forward and ignoring possibilities that you're wrong or that your conclusions are not correct. I was, for instance, talking to Rick Pogue the other day about a business idea. We were talking together, and he said, well, the first thing I'm going to do with this, Jamie, is I'm going to take it and I'm going to talk about every single reason why it's a bad idea. And that's what should be done on all kinds of different levels and probably on many levels in our life. As it relates to the Mitch McConnell thing, if Mitch McConnell were dead, we would know it. I know stranger things have happened. President Trump was spied upon by the FBI, whatever, but eventually we knew. And so, again, this being posited by Newsmax is not crazy necessarily, but if he hasn't resigned, and why should he? We had one guy in the GOP who was out like 3 months, not even showing up for votes for 3 months. And he remained in office and everything else. I realize Mitch McConnell's stature is a little more important, but this idea that somehow Mitch McConnell is dead and nobody's saying anything is really a stretch. Even if there is clear motivation to hide the fact that he's dead because you don't want Massey coming back, it would be too hard to hide something like this. And also, by the way, in this world that we know of, where there is leak after leak after leak, to assume somehow that everybody in the Republican Party, including Thomas Massey, by the way, that everybody in the Republican Party is covering up for the fact that Mitch McConnell is really dead, in this day and age, that would be almost impossible. If anything, Thomas Massey would be like, hey, man, he's dead. Calling that, Thomas Massey's in Kentucky. He would know. So, it's almost impossible. I get it, but sometimes it's like trafficking in conspiracies and everything else. That's not to say that it's not a conspiracy. As I said yesterday, just because you're paranoid doesn't mean people aren't out to get you. So but let's put it this way. I do understand folks who say, well, I think that if he's good, then we ought to have some more proof of it. But we all have people like Scott Jennings. You think Scott Jennings is going to go on CNN and lie about talking up to him? And all these other people? I mean, I don't know. I think there are a lot of people who have a level of credibility, and Scott Jennings would have a lot to lose if it was discovered he lied about talking to Mitch McConnell. So I'm just throwing it out there that maybe Good afternoon, everyone. All right, this comedian filling in for Jimmy Kimmel. You'll not know who she is, but it's interesting what she's up to now. And also, Tim Jones in at 1 o'clock will figure out what Amendment 4 and 5 are all about. Because a lot of you are confused. So we'll follow up on all of that. This is the 3 Martini Lunch. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL.
News, analysis.
I'm glad you're talking about this.
Opinion.
I'm glad you're fired up about it, too, because I know I am.
News Talk STL.
Ladies and gentlemen, Gulf Shores Restaurant and Grill. Harry Parker in Gulf Shores Restaurant and Grill. This is about the time, ladies and gentlemen, that food truck is out and about. You can even hire the food truck for your parties and your affairs, whatever it happens to be, because she'll come on out and make it a zinger with all of this Nolan-style Gulf Shores Restaurant and Grill food that will come right to your driveway. It's really super cool. You can also find out, sometimes it's just out and about, like at an office park or whatever else, and you can check that out at Gulf Shores Restaurant and Grill. allmangrill.com. Or right now, you could go ahead and stop in to the Olive location or the St. Peter's location and grab yourself a wonderful, amazing lunch, thanks to Harry Parker and his staff and the recipes that come all the way from New Orleans, cutting his own fish, making their own sauces, their spices, everything else, and their specialties, which are really great. They've got specials every day. They have drink specials, including on the Hurricanes. They've got the Gator Bites, which are a ton of fun. Happy hours, always fun at Gulf Shores Restaurant and Grill. And, of course, they have the patio there, which is really super cool. And music playing. Sometimes it's live music here and there, and you're always going to have that Nolan-style feel, even in the decor. I always direct attention to the fish tacos. But if you go to GulfShoresRestaurantGrill.com right now, you can see the menu. The menu is big. I mean, there's a lot of choices out there for you. And some of them, if you're not really into the seafood part of it, they have other options for you as well. But I love the fish tacos. They are formidable. There are two of them, and they're big. And, I know you've seen the street tacos, and they're like 2 inches long, and they come in those little metal things. That's not what this is. This isn't for the street people. This is for you sitting down at the restaurant or at a party with the truck and eating these nice, big, formidable fish tacos. You can do shrimp. You can do mahi-mahi. You can do grouper, and you can basically fry. You could just saute it, or it can be blackened, whatever you want in those tacos, and they are good. And the coleslaw is, I'm like a big fan of coleslaw, and Gulf Shores Restaurant and Grill coleslaw is the best. Check it out right there at GulfShoresRestaurantandGrill.com, GulfShoresRestaurantandGrill.com.
Tired of being the main course at your own backyard barbecue? Well, meet the Mosquito SWAT Team, a locally owned, family-run business right here in St. Louis. Every member is a licensed technician who custom mixes your treatment on site, built for your property and your family. Synthetic, all-natural, or botanical, and we never lock you into a contract. Take back your backyard. Call or text us 314-861-0096. That's 314-861-0096.
Colombo and Company.
The ceasefire is over and the fighting has resumed with Iran, but for how long and what's the end game? We'll discuss it all Thursday, plus Virginia Cruda from the Daily Wire and Dr. Randy Tobler.
Live and local, weekdays at 2 on Newstalk STL. The Allman Report, sponsored by Clayton Sleep Institute.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's Common Sense Radio. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here with you. And Ashlyn over there. Man. It's hard to believe I've been listening to these guys for 50 years. It's almost impossible. Police, one of my favorite bands in high school. I guess would it be 50 years? 81? I don't know. Damn it. I don't do well in math. I always get it off by like a decade or something, but it's around that time. What is 2026 minus 1981, Ashlyn?
I'm not good at math instantly either, but my mom was born in 79. She's 49, so, yeah, so.
Julie says she saw them on Chapel Hill in the 80s. I never saw them in concert, if you can believe that. 45. Thank you, Jason. And by the way, thanks for your comments about Mitch. I think you're on to something there, buddy. 45. So, 45 years I've been listening to the Police, and I'll never forget when, and I just, every single album I still have, I'll never forget when, so back in the day, thank you, Phyllis, back in the day, it was one thing to see them in concert, but like live recordings were it was crazy. I'll never forget the first time that I ever heard like the police live on a tape or a record. I'm like, that was crazy that you could just have live music at your fingertips and whatever else. I know it sounds like, damn, man, you were old. But no, I mean, it was nuts. And, of course, these guys are very talented and very cool. And they are it was funny when you hear the stories. Stuart Copeland, who was the drummer, has a bunch of really great music. He went off on his own, did a lot of stuff. Andy Summers, an amazing bassist or guitarist, rhythm guitarist, and then Sting, amazing bassist. And apparently Sting and Stuart Copeland didn't really like each other, but who knows? So, yeah, never saw him in concert. And then, of course, you had the situation with, I think I've told you guys, when I went to school in Madison, Wisconsin, there's a little bar on State Street named Merlin's. And it was 1981. And there was a song called I Will Follow that me and my girlfriend listened to all the time. She, in fact, turned me on to it. My cheerleader girlfriend from Virginia Beach. But anyway, so there's a little bar called Merlin's, and it just so happens the band that did walk away was going to appear, I Will Follow, was going to appear at Merlin's, and that band is called U2. And we're like, I don't know. Well, we'll catch up with him another time. We can't go. There's some reason why we couldn't go see U2 at some dive bar. And, of course, the rest of U2 is history. That's all I can say. All right, people, thinking of history, did you hear about this one chick? She's. Do you guys know who Tiffany Haddish is? I don't know who she is either. Oh, you do, Ashton? Okay. Well, she's filling in for Jimmy Kimmel, and apparently she's trying to claim that she's the latest victim, the latest late-night comedian victim of Donald Trump.
The president is very focused on issues that matter right now, and apparently I'm one of them.
No, you're not. They didn't say anything about her. The White House didn't say anything about her.
I got a shout out from the White House today. For real, y'all, for real. They issued an official statement about this joke I made last night. People are blaming Donald Trump for the loss after he got FIFA to help Team USA. It seems like everything Trump touches dies, which I guess is why his tiny hands are all up. Or maybe that's from grabbing Nikki's barbs by the Some little snitch at USA Today asked the White House to comment on that joke, and a spokesman named Davis Ingalls said, "Who the hell is Tiffany Haddish? Who am I?" Huh?
Yeah, so that's the level of targeting of Tiffany Haddish, is somebody saying, "Who the hell is Tiffany Haddish?" Which is who I guarantee you, pretty much 97% of you asked the same question when I mentioned her name. So this whole fabrication is like, I don't know whether that's really somebody targeting you when their question is, "Who are you?" I don't really understand how that works and how that what calculation draws Tiffany to that conclusion. Oh well. All right, friends, coming up, Tim Jones. We're gonna get the skinny on Amendment 4 and 5. I'm gonna release you all from the burden of having to pretend you know all about these, because I'm joining your group. So we'll let Tim come in and break it all down for us. This is Common Sense Radio. It's the 3 Martini Lunch. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote quality Christ-centered K-12 education nationwide.
Hi, this is Chris Stegall with the Herzog Foundation. We offer a wide variety of resources relevant to today's families, including a free online publication called The Lion. The lion is one of God's most majestic creatures, symbolizing strength and courage. Named for its attributes, the Lion publication carries articles covering a wide range of topics facing American families and culture, especially related to the education of children. The Lion can be found online at readlion.com. That's READ lion.com.
Sign up for The Lion at readlion.com and find dozens of must-read articles published every day. Visit readlion.com and subscribe for the weekly and daily digests so you never miss an article. Readlion.com. That's readlion.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour at Town Hall. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. The U.S. has launched new airstrikes against Iran, and Tehran responded by targeting Gulf countries. The exchange of fire threatening an interim deal intended to end the war in the Middle East, but sirens sounded at least 3 times in Bahrain. Missiles targeted Kuwait and Qatar. Ukrainian drones battered Russian oil facilities once again and set more oil tankers on fire.
Ukraine has hit more Russian oil facilities as well as setting 2 oil tankers ablaze in the Sea of Azov. The drone strikes on oil infrastructure across Russia have triggered a fuel crisis with gasoline shortages and fuel rationing in multiple regions. The strikes come a day after President Donald Trump pledged to grant Ukraine a license to manufacture the Patriot air defense systems. A top Ukrainian official, meanwhile, cautioned that it could take a year or more for the country to produce Patriot interceptor missiles. I'm Karen Shamas.
And all the concern about Iran and the United States raising new concerns about oil prices, but they have lost a little ground today, off about $2.30 a barrel, and that's been a boon for stock prices. Now the Dow is up 182 points, the Nasdaq up by 314, the S&P up about 60. Facebook's parent company is now planning to build a huge AI data center in Canada.
Meta, the parent company of Facebook and Instagram, says it's investing more than $9.1 billion to build its first artificial intelligence data center in Canada and the largest outside the United States. The facility will be in Alberta and will be powered by a natural gas-fired plant being developed by a consortium. Alberta has been courting hyperscale data centers because the province's electricity grid cannot support multiple large AI data centers. It's prioritizing projects that have their own power generation, as Meta plans to do. I'm Donna Water.
More of these stories at townhall.com.
Hey, I'm Kirk Cameron. Is health insurance eating up your budget for 2026? If you're looking for ways to better steward your finances, consider this: Christian Healthcare Ministries. It's a health insurance alternative at half the cost. Join CHM today by visiting chministries.org/wellness. While insurance companies tell you when to join, what to pay, and where to go, CHM is different. As a ministry, CHM allows you to share the burden of medical bills with other Christians. You can enroll, switch programs, or leave at any time. Christian Healthcare Ministries. It's a world of difference. CHM has 4 flexible programs. You can pick any certified doctor, surgeon, or hospital that you want for eligible care. So make the switch. Take your paycheck back from health insurance this year. Join CHM today by visiting chministries.org/wellness. That's chministries.org/wellness.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Window World of St. Louis. For replacement windows, doors, and siding, call 800-GET-WINDOWS. That's 800-GET-WINDOWS. From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
Strong storms possible this afternoon across the area and into the evening and overnight hours as well, along with some heavy rain and a flooding threat south of St. Louis. The high today may hit 90 degrees with the heat index in the mid-90s. Overnight lows in the mid-70s. Should be dry in the morning with more thunderstorms on tap tomorrow afternoon. In the KMOV Weather Center, I'm First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli. We're sitting here with our great friend, Chris Cooper. Hi, Chris.
What's going on, Vic? How are you?
I hear you wrote another book. This one's an e-book. Is that right?
The
Business Owner's Playbook for Financial Clarity. So it is a great book for entrepreneurs, a very short guide, give people, business owners, the ability to understand key questions that are important, such as succession planning, legacy planning, getting the IRS out of our pockets, right? Because do you like paying taxes?
I do not.
I don't think anybody likes paying taxes, right? That just makes sense. And then always talking about protection. And then the other thing from a business owner perspective, what is the biggest asset a business owner has? Probably their business itself, right? We need to make sure we understand what the value of that business is as well.
So this new book, I'm sure, is incredibly expensive, right? How much?
No, it's a free resource.
Oh, it's free.
We provide guidance, we provide education because we want to make sure people feel educated and understanding because sometimes you don't know what questions to ask, and we need to make sure we help arm people with information to ask the right question.
Reach out to Chris and Stacy today at SerenityWealthNow.com.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros and Exteriors, your all-in-one service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. Christine and I discovered Gutter Pros and Exteriors when we bought our home and inherited a gutter problem. And they've also repaired siding damage on our home because along with gutter repair, gutter installation, and leaf protection, the Gutter Pros team are also the best for repairing other exterior damage, including fascia, soffit, and all siding repair and installation. Learn about all the ways Gutter Pros and Exteriors can help your home or business right now at gutterpros.com.
Let's take a break.
Good idea.
Hey, Tom, what are you doing on that Amendment 4?
You know we fought for our freedom and rights. I'm not giving them away without a fight.
4 takes them?
That's exactly what 4 does. For over 100 years, Missouri voters have used our constitutional power to act when the politicians refused. I'll be darned if I'm voting to pass on less freedom and power to my kids.
And doesn't 4 also kill majority rule?
Yup. Creates minority rule, or just 5% of the most liberal statewide voters in one Missouri congressional district that block any citizen-led reform, making it nearly impossible to pass common-sense conservative citizen ballot measures.
That's crazy town stuff.
And we've needed our citizen ballot measure power to pass some big conservative stuff, like outlawing tax hikes without voter approval, lobbyist reforms, and term limits for career politicians.
No way I'm letting a tiny fraction of liberals derail our conservative power. I've no on Amendment 4.
Hard no on 4.
Pay 4 buttons or inch prepare governance.
Hey, it's Chris Arps. Becky and I recently discovered a restaurant that's quickly become one of our go-to restaurants, Timothy's in Creve Coeur. Led by executive chef Will Mabry, Timothy's serves contemporary American cuisine with a touch of Southern charm. Dishes like pastrami, smoked lamb, and shrimp and grits. My wife absolutely loved the lobster pot pie, and everything we've tried has been incredible. Amazing house-made desserts and over 500 wines to choose from. Enjoy dinner 7 nights a week, plus lunch, brunch, and private events. Timothy's in Creve Coeur at 12710 Olive Boulevard or online at timothysstl.com.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk. Live and local.
I need to know what's going on in my city.
News Talk STL.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's Common Sense Radio. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here with you, Ashlyn over there, and welcome to the 3 Martini Lunch. And this is from the file of no good deed goes unpunished. So, you know, the people are all criticizing President Trump for his desire to clean Washington, D.C. up and make it look beautiful. But, you know, as I mentioned before at the top of the show, the Democrat Party, the left, and the news media, mostly white trash. So the idea of polishing something or cleaning something up is not really good. They'd rather Washington, D.C. look like you had a bunch of old radiators in your yard, and that's how they like to do it. They want it to look like Sanford and Son's home over there, but that's okay. This is a great story. I saw this headline. I'm going, oh, I can't wait to read this one. It says, fountain Trump promised to beautify turns brown. So this is how it turned brown, by the way. And just in case you can have a reference like you do at your house. Sometimes if your water has been turned off for some reason, the water company turned it off, or something happened where the water had turned off or hasn't been turned off in a while, and you turn the water on, what happens? Yeah, it's brown. There's like rust in it and everything else. So this is what they say. Water feature reopened in May after 7 years, but is now discolored by sediment. from long unused pipes. Well, ultimately, that doesn't take a long time. Tim Jones, you know the feeling, right? I mean, this is so typical TDS crap. It's unbelievable. Welcome to the show, buddy.
Hey, great to be here. I had to come into the station a little bit early, and every time, Jamie, I have a martini on the weekend, I think of the 3-martini lunch.
All right.
I really do. And, yeah, Jamie, so today's Democratic Party is such a dysfunctional dumpster fire. They promote Nazis, sexual abusers, child molesters, perverts, and trash.
Yeah.
That's pretty much their party these days.
Well, it's funny because
that's what they stand for.
I mentioned earlier that it turns out that allegations of rape damage the reputation of a Nazi.
Right.
It's like, really? I mean, it's unbelievable.
Like, being a Nazi, they were okay with that. The first woman who came forward with the sexual abuse claims, that was okay. The second one was okay. It wasn't until the third one, who happened to be a liberal gal, then it's off the rails. I mean, this guy was off the rails, Jamie, the day he announced for office. But
No
because Bernie Sanders liked him, then that's who we had to go with.
Yeah.
If you're a Democrat.
Tim Jones of the Tim Jones and Christopher Arp Show. I get a chance to listen to it quite a bit. I love it. You guys do a great job. Love your conversations. And I have to, I was admitting to people earlier that, it's okay that you don't know everything there is to know about Amendment 4 and Amendment 5. Sometimes for some people who either are opposed to it or for it, that's the plan because they just kind of are throwing it up there and yes or no, they'll go ahead and roll the dice on whether or not it passes or it fails or whatever. But oftentimes it's so confusing because you're hearing ads that are very misleading and all that kind of stuff. And you're hearing people do that. The only good thing is that the ads, sometimes you're checking out kind of early on because they're so confusing, so you don't really know. But nonetheless, they are important, particularly Amendment 5. But Amendment 4 is pretty darn important, too. And so it's best to know everything there is to know about them and how they came about. But you'd never know. Like with Amendment 5, I mean, this is all about cutting our income taxes.
Getting rid of a tax.
Yeah.
Why don't we want to get rid of a tax? Yeah, Jamie, two things here. Number one, I'm going to tell people in a very simple nutshell what 4 and 5 are, and then I'm going to tell you how you can prove that point and check my math. Number one, Amendment 4 is nothing more than protecting Missouri's Constitution from additional assault by left-wing billionaires. We've had these ballot initiatives every 2 years, right, that have been proposed by, quote, citizen-led initiatives. That's a complete fabrication, a complete misnomer. They've been proposed by special interest groups funded by out-of-state and even foreign left-wing billionaires like George Soros and Hans-Jörg Wyss and this guy, Chris Hone from the UK. These are all people, Jamie, that want to destroy the United States of America. So they look for states that have easy-to-access ballot proposition systems. Missouri happens to be one of them.
Yeah, you told me a while back, Tim, I don't want to interrupt you, but real quickly, you told me that Missouri has one of the most pliable initiative petition processes.
Absolutely correct.
Okay.
You know who's very similar to us? Colorado.
Oh, really?
Colorado, Jamie, was a red state in our lifetimes. Not that long ago.
I know.
Not that long ago. And now it's deep blue politically. How did that happen? Largely because the Californians fled crazy and then decided to bring their really bad policies and ideas with them, and they put them into Colorado's constitution because they have a very similar system there of citizen-led initiative petitions, which are not citizen-led. So Amendment 4, Jamie, will do nothing more than protect Missouri's Constitution. If people want to propose statutory amendments, they can do that till the cows come home, and then they can have the battle every year with the legislature, and may the best advocate win. But shouldn't our Constitution be a little harder to amend? Shouldn't it be more like the U.S. Constitution, which has only been amended a handful of times in 250-plus years now? So that's all Amendment 4 does. And if you want to check my work, read the ballot language that you're all going to see on August 4th. It's 3 sentences. It's very simple, and it does what it says it's going to do in a non-deceptive, truly truthful fashion. Why? Because it went through the legislative process and was vetted by the entire Missouri General Assembly, our elected representatives and senators in a Republican supermajority. Amendment 4 protects Missouri's Constitution. That's all you got to keep in mind. Read the ballot language yourself.
So really quickly, though, Tim, why why August 4th? I mean, I know that there was some effort to get the school board elections into November because that's where you're going to get the highest turnout. And I believe that when it comes to amending the Constitution and these important amendments, that you need to work to get everybody possible to be able to vote on them. But August 4th, man, why August 4th again?
It's a great question because the left has a whole series of bad ballot propositions planned for November.
Oh.
So you got to cut them off at the pass. And you got to put Amendment 4, the shield, up first. And so the governor smartly said, you know what? I can make sure that I can't stop these lefty ballot propositions, but they automatically go on in November. So Governor Mike Keogh said, I'm going to put 4 on in August to try to cut those off at the pass. What I just said keeps happening. Every 2 years, we have these left-wing billionaire-funded ballot propositions. Obamacare Medicaid expansion. That's how we got that in Missouri. The recreational marijuana, which a lot of people were in favor of the subject, but not the way it was executed, right, into the Constitution.
Yeah.
50 pages of stuff that's now being litigated in court because it's a mess. And, Jamie, abortion and transgender surgeries on demand from 2 years ago. That's how that got in the Constitution, too. So isn't enough?
Yeah.
Can we not protect our Constitution from these out-of-state left-wing billionaires? That's what Amendment 4 does. That's all it does. It says if you're going to amend the Constitution, we're going to require you to have not only a majority of the state's voters, but a majority of the voters in every single congressional district. So the liberals in St. Louis and Kansas City can't constantly outvote by 1.2%, which is how a lot of these things pass.
Yeah.
The rest of the voters in the state.
Wow. Okay. Well, so and each time has there been an effort to reform the initiative petition process before, and it's probably failed because there's so much money that goes into debating it.
For 10 years. For 10 years, the legislature tried to get a fix to Missouri voters, and it was always stopped by other establishment Republicans and their consultants.
Yes.
Because it's a cottage industry.
Yeah, of course.
It's a McMansion industry.
Yeah. Well, I was wondering because why is it that the initiative petition reform has to come through on an amendment when the Secretary of State is the one who oversees the initiative petition process?
Because the process itself is in the Missouri Constitution.
Oh, okay.
So you have to update, revise, fix the Missouri Constitution itself. And Jamie, you want to know where this came from? This initiative petition process that some people, especially on the left, think is so wonderful? Early 1900s, 1905, a group of St. Louis City progressive liberals were afraid of the rise of republicanism in Missouri after the Civil War, right?
Yeah.
In the decades after the Civil War, Republicans were gaining a lot of ground in Missouri at the turn of the century, and a group of St. Louis City progressives were worried about that, so they said, we need to have a way to check this legislature if they go full Republican. And they went Republican for a while, and then the pendulum swung back, and Democrats ran the General Assembly for 60 years. And then in 2002, Republicans took back over again.
Right. Well, and that was what.
So it wasn't in the original Missouri Constitution. It came 100. It came 100 and it came 80. 1821. I'm bad with math too. We all are here.
I know, man.
It came 85 years later. 85 years later.
Right.
A group of St. Louis City progressive liberals put that process into the Constitution.
Well, and that's why Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft at the time said, because I asked him one time, like, what's going on? How come you can't fix this, whatever? And he goes, well, I can only do so much because it's already there. I can't just dip into the Constitution and change it with the stroke of a pen. It has to be changed by the legislature.
You know what the legislature did 2 years ago? The legislature tried to give more power to the Secretary of State over ballot initiatives, to give the Secretary of State more power to, like, rewrite the ballot summaries if the courts challenged them. Guess what the courts did with that additional tool? They ruled it unconstitutional.
Oh,
I mean, you can't win for losing.
Yeah.
And so,
yeah.
Jamie, unfortunately, we have to amend the Constitution, which is a tough thing to do, but a necessary thing to do to stop these constant attacks on the Constitution.
Our Constitution seems to be a pincushion.
It's so malleable.
How many amendments are there to it? I mean,
somebody said
I can't, 50 something.
Yeah, it's a big number.
And
our Constitution itself is a small phone. Remember the little Yellow Pages books we used to get? Not the big ones, but the little ones.
Yeah.
Ours is starting to resemble like a mini Yellow Pages.
Oh Lord.
It has been amended so many times. I think we've added somebody said something like 125 pages to it of ballot propositions.
Unbelievable.
Not a great way to run a state government.
All right, so Amendment 5 is another one. I mean, this is one of those things because I just can't believe somebody would be opposed to a reduction in Missouri income taxes.
You would think not. And so I'll nutshell this one for everybody again. So I said Amendment 4 will protect Missouri's Constitution by continual onslaught from left-wing billionaires. Amendment 5, in one sentence, will provide the pathway for the legislature to eradicate the income tax and provide property tax relief as well. Now, how are we going to do that? Well, we're going to look at our extremely antiquated taxation system, which has been put chock full of special interest, lobbyist loopholes, carve-outs, exemptions, massive tax credit program that we have. The tax credit system alone that we have in Missouri of like 57 or 58 tax credit programs accounts for $500 million every single year right off the top. And then we have all the exemptions and the carve-outs and the loopholes. The mom and pop brick and mortar pizza shop has to make sure that they collect sales tax on everything they sell. But if some big conglomerate comes in and puts an online store, they don't have to collect sales tax. So we are so antiquated in our sales tax system. This doesn't mean that this is some nefarious tax shift, because it's not a tax shift if you're eradicating a tax. You're eliminating the income tax, and then you're implementing something that former state senator Andrew Koenig proposed about 14 years ago. He was way ahead of his time. The fair tax system, which is championed by most conservative economists who are worth their salt. And Jamie, the Tax Foundation released a report 3 years ago showing that consumption-based systems of taxation greatly benefit state governments and the working classes and the working poor much better than income tax systems.
Well, that almost seems to be a foundational model, like for the federal government, that they used to just simply make all their money taxing vices and then getting money from the states that taxed. So
tariffs.
Oh, getting tariffs, yeah. What about the claims that is the threat that somehow your real estate transactions and all this other mother jazz are all going to start to be taxed and everything else? Is that just a conjecture? Because that's not built in to Amendment 5. Amendment 5 doesn't call for the reduction of the income tax and an increase in real estate taxes, right?
And in fact,
transaction taxes.
And in fact, Governor Kehoe has said he will veto any bill that doesn't include 3 major exemptions. Healthcare will be exempt. Healthcare and healthcare, whatever you think about it, he has said healthcare and healthcare services will be exempt. He has said agriculture will be exempt, because there's a lot of stuff that's not the end user in agriculture, so you don't want to tax every step of the agricultural process, right? So he said that will be exempt, and he has said real estate transactions will be exempt. So, Jamie, unfortunately, the Missouri realtors are a lot like the big labor unions. We love the rank and file union worker, right? They're voting for Donald Trump. They're voting for school choice. They're voting for tax cuts. But the bosses are still funding the Democratic Party. Same thing with the Missouri realtors. Realtors in general, hardworking people, entrepreneurial, believe in common sense, conservative government. Unfortunately, Jamie, I hate to tell you, the Missouri Realtors Association has gotten just as woke and weird as a lot of these large state associations.
Yeah,
it's all about their own personal pride. It's not about what the rank and file members, I think, want.
But if it's not true that real estate transactions are going to be taxed, then why are people saying that?
They're afraid that they might be.
Well,
monkeys may fly out of my ears.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sorry. You can mite me all day long, and probably. But when the governor has gone on record, I know we're in an age where we can't trust politicians and elected officials. I believe you can trust this Missouri legislature. Why? Because this Missouri legislature, which is going to draft the follow-up legislation if Amendment 5 passes, this Missouri legislature has done nothing but cut taxes. They eradicated the capital gains tax a year ago. They provided the senior citizen property tax freeze 2 years ago. They have not raised taxes. This is a tax-cutting legislature led by folks like Nick Schroer and Ben Keithley in the Freedom Caucus and so many other good conservatives who live and work in Missouri and who want their kids and grandkids to move back here or to stay here and not to go to Tennessee or Kentucky or Arkansas. Jamie, I saw a story today. We used to make fun of Arkansas, right?
Oh, yeah.
Sarah Huckabee Sanders is cutting taxes in her state, primarily the income tax. That resulted in a report that I just saw today. Arkansas has jumped 18 points in state in state growth and is the fastest growing state in the union.
Yeah.
How sad is that Arkansas and Iowa, states we used to make fun of, are now going to start eating Missouri's lunch if we don't get with the program?
I mean, look even at Mississippi when it comes to education. Like, Mississippi is right up there in the top 5.
Indeed.
So the bottom line is, folks, just because something isn't exempt doesn't mean it's going to be taxed. So apparently these people who are opposing Amendment 5 are just picking out all these things that they could scare people with.
That could happen.
Because they're not exempt. Well, I mean, yeah, and as you put out, anything could happen. But it also is not going to happen without getting past the legislature.
That's right.
So, I mean, it's not like you can just they're just to add this real estate tax without going through the legislature or whatever. But if that's exempt anyway, I don't see how they're going to say it.
And Jamie, there's one huge constitutional guardrail in Amendment 5. No matter what the legislature does, anything that it does has to be net tax neutral. They can't just raise a bunch of taxes over here and not cut the income tax. There is a constitutional mandate of revenue neutrality that you can bet your bippy will be enforced if there was ever an accident or they went off the rails or they got wacky or whatever. It has to be revenue neutral. So you are going to eliminate the income tax. It's going to be gone. And then you get to decide in a consumption-based system what you want to spend your money on and therefore the dollars that are collected from you in tax. Isn't that a much better way to go versus the forced taxation of having every single paycheck taxed every 2 weeks and you have no say in the matter?
Yeah. I mean, and this whole thing, I think it's worth it to talk about the consumption tax lie, because there's this claim always that the consumption tax hurts the poor and middle class the most. And to me, that built into that claim is the idea that, well, it's okay to do an income tax because you're just punishing people who make a lot of money to support everybody else. And that's not any more ethical or virtuous than just simply making sure that people who buy stuff are going to pay the taxes and people who don't aren't.
People who make lots of money are generally also people that make lots of jobs.
Yeah.
Because they run lots of businesses and they employ everybody and provide a growth opportunity. Jamie, Missouri has not like plummeted economically, but we haven't rose either. We have just flatlined here in the Midwest. And look around us. With the exception of the People's Republic of Illinois, our other 7 bordering states are doing exactly what Amendment 5 proposes. Our other 7 bordering states are eliminating their income taxes. They're providing property tax relief, which is what we hear about most from people these days, as we should. And they're modernizing their sales tax system for 2026 America. I'm guaranteeing you, look it up. All of our 7 bordering states are doing that or have already done it, and we are going to be left behind in the growth index if we don't do the same.
Yeah. Who's paying for the no on Missouri?
On 5?
Who's paying no on 5? No on 5, yeah.
No on 4 and 5 is primarily, unfortunately, being led by the Missouri Realtors Association.
Really?
$2 million. $2 million each already. $4 million total against both 4 and 5. And you know who's joining them? Talk about an unholy alliance. The Missouri Budget Project, which is the most lefty progressive group in the state. The Missouri NEA, the teachers unions, and every other lefty group you can imagine. The realtors are carrying the majority of the freight. They've already put over $4 million into it. I hear they're going to do more into opposing 4 and 5. But yes, they are joined by the Missouri Budget Project, the Missouri NEA, and a bunch of other lefty groups. And if you don't believe me, it's all publicly available information. I've seen it, and you can go look at it as well.
Wow. And by the way, you mentioned the tax credits, and you know it's really interesting. I think establishment Republicans are a problem in this state and have been. But I remember Eric Greitens was trying to erase the tax credits. And I think even though people were talking about his affair and all this other nonsense, whatever, But I think the reason why he was really hated is because he wanted to get rid of the tax credits. He unfortunately made himself an easy target, but that's really what people had a problem with him about, right?
Yes, he was a morally challenged human being. Let's all admit that.
Yeah.
But the folks that went after him were the defenders of Missouri's absolutely ridiculous tax credit system.
Yeah, right on. All right, Timmy. Man, I love your show. You and Chris Arps, Tim Jones, Christopher Arps show, 4 o'clock here on News Talk STL. And tell me about the weekend.
Yeah, we've got the State Freedom Caucus Unfiltered show coming at you every Sunday at 7 p.m. And this week we're going to highlight our freedom fighters in the Illinois Freedom Caucus. We have them,
true
rock stars,
revolutionaries.
And we're going to talk to the Pennsylvania Freedom Caucus as well. And Jamie, finally, my folks were listening to you yesterday. They said they were loving the show. They were laughing. And they loved the way that you owned the libs, is my mom's words.
Oh, right, great. Thank you. I appreciate that very much. Hey, so the Illinois guys, they how are they being received? I think that's really super brave to have a Freedom Caucus. I know you guys have done a really hard work in getting Freedom Caucus organizations or caucuses in maybe unfriendly territory, and that's super cool.
Mm-hmm.
How's the Illinois Freedom Caucus faring in that place?
They're one of our best Freedom Caucuses because, number one, it's a target-rich environment, right? But unfortunately, Jamie, what's true in Illinois is true in Missouri and in red states as well. There is a Republican establishment, believe it or not, in Illinois too. And they just like to go along to get along, so they get nice offices and they get floor time, and so they can make speeches and things like that. And so the Illinois Freedom Caucus, they take incoming from both sides, just like every Freedom Caucus does in all of the 15 Freedom Caucus states that we have. And we do have Freedom Caucuses in 4 blue or bluish states.
Yeah.
Maryland, Pennsylvania, which is kind of a purple state, Illinois, and Minnesota.
Huh. Minnesota would be. That's
they're having a good time up there.
I bet. Oh, one more thing before you get away. I feel like Columbo. But one more thing. One more question for you. No, the fact of the matter is the Republican Party in Illinois has given us rhino after rhino after rhino governor. Jim Edgar, Thompson, those guys never did anything about the pension system there that now is basically crushing the Illinois budget. And then we had that one guy, remember the real rich guy? And he turned out to be a flop too because
Rauner?
Yeah.
Rauner?
Yeah.
He was good for 2 years.
Yeah.
And then his last 2 years, he was a disaster.
These guys always do that. So, man, it would be great someday to get a good governor out of the Freedom Caucus. And I think Illinois residents might actually, over the next 5 years, learn that is a really better option for them.
The chair of the Illinois Freedom Caucus is Chris Miller. He is the husband of Congresswoman, U.S. House Freedom Caucus member Mary Miller.
Yeah, Mary
What a
Miller.
power couple.
Yeah, and Mary Miller is a fighter. She's pretty great.
Her husband Chris is the chair of the Illinois Freedom Caucus. No accident there.
Awesome. We'll be tuning in this weekend, buddy. Appreciate all your work here and appreciate you stepping in, man.
Thank you, Jamie.
All right, that is Tim Jones of the Tim Jones and Christopher Arp Show. 4 o'clock today. All right. You should hear what happened on a tourist train in Tennessee. Some woke passengers, if you can believe it, didn't like what happened on the train in Tennessee. It's Common Sense Radio. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL.
I think we should be able to have a civil conversation.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity.
News Talk STL.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you go to the Window World website, you will see a rundown of a great big home remodel auction. It's part of an Action for Autism effort on the part of Window World, which is a local company here, right there in Earth City. My friends John Gillette and the rest of the gang are super cool. great at what they do, and this auction is helping community members as it relates to autism and the research for autism. This is a big, big deal. This is like a $50,000 home remodel, and I think the current level on the auction is just about $18,000. So keep on going, and hopefully we'll raise enough money for autism with Window World, but also save some people money and getting them a great deal on a home remodel that includes siding as well as the windows, as well as sliding doors. So you got to check it out at windowworld.com or stlouiswindowworld.com. And also, this is 1-800-GET-WINDOWS. This is where we're talking about getting the windows in your home. These Good Housekeeping Seal of Approval windows. These are the Remodeler Magazine #1 selling window. And these are double pane windows. They are thermally superior to all the rest. They are beautiful. And I happen to be able to see a lot of them in action. I have a couple in my house, but I can see a lot of them in action because I, as a real estate agent, I also show a lot of homes that have been rehabbed. And invariably, the rehab involves Window World windows because they are the #1 choice of rehabbers because they're beautiful and they hold their value and everything else, and they're great windows. And Window World has a lifetime warranty on these windows for breakage, labor, everything else. That's how much the Window World people trust this window, love this window. When they come over for a home demonstration, which they will, you're always free to ask them to stand on it and dare them to break it, and it will not break. So check it out right here. 1-800-GET-WINDOWS, 1-800-GET-WINDOWS.
You work hard, follow the rules, and get absolutely slammed by taxes. Your paycheck, taxed. Your property, taxed. Everything you buy, taxed. Missouri's tax system isn't broken, it's rigged against you. The lawyers and lobbyists working for big corporations and the super rich buried over 200 loopholes for themselves in our tax code. While they pay nothing on the services they use, working families are taxed over and over. It's no wonder they're lying about Amendment 5. Our corrupt tax system is rigged in their favor. They're getting a free ride on your back. Don't believe their lies. The truth is, Amendment 5 closes loopholes exploited by the super rich and slashes taxes paid by Missouri's working families, phasing out income taxes and cutting property taxes. They finally pay what they owe while you keep what you earn. Vote yes on Amendment 5. Paid for by Missouri Promise PAC.
Simply Health with Dr. Brian Deloney.
Fix the frame, fire up the furnace. This week, I'll be connecting joint repair, fat-burning exercises, and supplements like creatine, magnesium, psyllium, B vitamins, and TMG. You're going to learn how better tissue health may help you move better, heal better, and support a stronger metabolism.
Simply Health with Dr. Brian Deloney. Saturdays at noon on News Talk STL. To find out more about Simply Health Integrated Medical, log on to simplyhealthintegrated.com.
There's something magical about walking into your backyard and knowing your family is completely safe and secure. Hi, I'm Sean Long, owner of STL Fenceworks. That's the feeling my team and I have been creating for metro area families for more than 50 years. Whether you're adding your first fence or finally creating the outdoor sanctuary you've always wanted, we offer premium vinyl and stunning ornamental options, all designed around your family's specific needs and lifestyle. While other companies struggle with supply delays and rising costs, we've always proudly used all American-made materials, which means better pricing and faster installation for you. Our experienced craftsmen exemplify our motto, your satisfaction is our passion. From Warrenton to Wildwood, your neighbors trust us because we live here too, and we care about your project as much as you do. Right now is the golden time to build with flexible financing options and a commitment to completing your fence on time and on budget. Visit stlfenceworks.com.
News, analysis, opinion.
We attacked Cargo Island last night. There's not a thing they can do about it. They'll agree on everything, and then they'll go out and have a news conference and say we never even talked about it. They're cuckoo.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
The Allman Report, sponsored by Window World, 800-GET-WINDOWS.
Love is like a never-ending melody. Oh, it's
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Common Sense Radio. It is. I'm laughing because I'm still thinking of Tim Jones talking about having a martini. I should have brought this up when he was on the air with me because, and this is something that nobody can do anything to us now about it, but I was doing the Allman Report on ABC 30 back in 2015, and we were covering it together, and we just happened to have a few little pops, before President Trump's acceptance speech and everything. And it seemed like we had more than a few little pops. Anyway, we had to record some segment for the show. And let's put it this way, Tim and I were drunk when we shot that video. I don't know. I don't know whether the tape is there or not, but we were. I think I had a little more of a snoutful than he did, but if you can find the video anywhere, you'll probably be able to tell. Oh. Actually, maybe I shouldn't have brought it up, like, if he's here, because then he would, he would, I don't know whether he would be uncomfortable with that or not, but I figured since he's not here, I'll just go ahead and tell you that's what happened. So, I mean, come on. I mean, that happened a long time ago. I used to have a really good time. Julius Hunter at Channel 4 was my buddy. He was my mentor. And before that, before Julius and I worked together, before that, we had at Channel 4, which is downtown at the Gateway building, or was downtown, the Gateway building, right there at the Arch. Channel 4, there was a bar right next to the building called Fando's. And that's where all the talent from Channel 4, that's where they went to drink. Not only after the news, but between the news shows. And that's where they went, because there was a bar right there. What are you going to do, Well, I mean, I'm not saying, you have to. What I'm saying is that happened quite a bit. Anyway, Fando's eventually closed, and then Julius and I would go out after the 6 o'clock news if I didn't have to do a 10 o'clock piece. And Julius and I had dinner quite a bit, and he's a cool dude. He doesn't really like me anymore because of my politics, but he's a good guy. Nonetheless, we used to go down to Medich's, the chicken place, and if I've told this story before. Maybe I don't want to bore you, but anyway, it's about being on the air. So anyway, we went down there. That's where I learned to eat the hot sauce. I could soak the fried chicken with hot sauce, with Crystal's hot sauce, and damn, that is so good. And I learned that from Julius. And then, so what we would do is we'd go down there, and I would have like a gin and club or something. Julius would have a Manhattan, and then he'd have another Manhattan, and then the plates of chicken would come, and they were gigantic plates of chicken for like $5. And I don't know how they did it. Chicken and mashed potatoes and stuff like that. And then Julius would order then a beer with his chicken, and maybe order one other one or whatever. I just remember like being like, "Woo, I gotta drive home. I gotta be careful," and whatever. And then we got done. Julius went back to the studio. And I'm thinking, man, that has to like affect you, your performance or whatever. And I went back, and I'll never forget after that drink fest there at the Medich's, watching the 10 o'clock news, and Julius being flawless, like he was flawless, like it didn't trip him up at all. He was a pro, man. and I'll never forget that. I've always admired him for that. But those were fun. Those are fun days. People get all uptight about stuff now and everything else. But those were fun days out there. But yeah, look that up. I don't know. I can't see many clips. I don't see many clips or whatever from the old Channel 30 days, the Allman Report. But if you find one, let me know. And then I think I checked with somebody one point whether they had them in some kind of computer system or not. And I was like, I don't know. We don't. I'm like, okay, how do you not have any of that archived or whatever? I've got a bunch of stuff from Channel 4, but I don't know how you have that stuff archived or what. So anyway, thank you, Ella Fitzgerald, for this affinado. I had a great experience last night at the Muni and South Pacific. Wow, what a great production that was. I hadn't been to the Muni in a long time, and it's they really do a great job. Because it used to be, real quickly, it used to be like you go to the Muni and you'd see like 6 shows and the same people in each show. Like, so, oh, there's the mayor from the last show, or look, there's the sheriff from the fathers, like the father was the mayor who was also the this or that. And it was like the same guys all the time just rotating around, Some of them were not bad, but it's the same guys all the time. And lately, within the past, I think probably 5, maybe even 10 years, I don't know, the Muni has really stepped it up, and they get these really super great professionals in. And I had never seen South Pacific before, but the crazy part is I knew almost every song. Every song was familiar to me because of the fact that I could go back to my house and pull out of my stacks of LPs that I have from my dad, and one of them is the Mario Lanza, I believe it was, or I can't remember what his name is now. The original Broadway recording of South Pacific that my dad used to throw on the console among a bunch of records every Saturday morning, and they just drop all day. But that's how I became familiar with South Pacific's music. It was a great experience, but congratulations. I saw Governor Kehoe there. A super nice guy. He said he'd come on the show soon, and we'll arrange that. So he says hello to all of you. He listens to the show, loves the show, and so thank you, Governor Kehoe. Good to see you. And this is Common Sense Radio. I'm going to get to that train, that Tennessee train that made all the woke people crazy. This is Common Sense Radio.
Free speech is alive and well in America.
Thanks for taking my call.
Right here.
You know what's going on?
Have a great awakening.
You see through the smoke screen.
It's cool to be woke. News Talk STL. Until it's not. News, analysis, opinion.
Grasser Home Services. Hey, by the way, they're hiring. If you're a plumber or you want to be an electrician or you want to be, Grasser is hiring. They love the trades. And they love apprentices, and they love making life happen for you. And that's the tradition that Shane started when he started supporting the Allman Show 20 years ago. And I just love the fact that he's still with me, this time along with his son Josh. And these guys are doing a bang-up job making sure that you're always going to have quality work for your electric jobs and quality work for your plumbing jobs, because that's a new component of Grasser Home Services. So Jake came out, really super cool, and he's a great plumber. And Sean is my usual electrician. He always comes out and fixes things. I usually put a list together of just things that need to be taken care of. And now I have kind of a new list that's growing because I have this flickering light in this hallway that's driving me crazy. So we'll figure that out one way or the other. But usually I wait until there's a few things so it's worth his while to come on out, take care of him, and love the fact that these guys do that for me. And the plumbing part of it is super easy. No job is too big or too small for all of you there. And they also have a backup generator. That backup generator is fantastic, and it comes in a variety of different colors, which is really super cool. So it can be discreet along with your house, and that's great with the Grasser Electric backup generator. GrasserHomeservices.com. That's GrasserHomeservices.com.
Hey, it's Susie Moore with a reminder that for 20 years, Harpo's Chesterfield has been the heart of West County's fun. With their award-winning patio, voted best in West County, and excellent sports bar atmosphere, Harpo's is your one-stop destination. The mouth-watering menu has made them famous throughout St. Louis. Plus, they've got great drink specials and the friendliest, most energetic staff around. Whether you're dining in or carrying out, Harpo's delivers fun, food, and drinks like no one else. Harpo's Chesterfield. Call 636-537-1970 or visit harposstl.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on Newstalk STL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Oh, Hank, what a wonderful spider web you have built for us. I love this fabulous space we have right here in the corner of the kitchen.
Thanks, Charlotte. I think I'll build us a vacation web in the coat closet. Oh, no. It's the pest control company again with those green wheels. They always kill the mood.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. Give us a call today at 636-486-7888. We'd love to help you out. Learn more about our special $67 offer. You can visit us online at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
To everyone who serves and sacrifices, this one's for you. Heroes Care is giving away 1,000 suits to our heroes. Active duty, retired, guard, or reserve, military, police, fire, or EMS, just show up with your ID and a suit is yours. That's Saturday, July 18th, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Heroes Care store in Gravois Village Center, Jefferson County. For those who sacrifice every day, we simply want to say thank you. Details at heroescare.org. Heroes Care, honoring those who serve.
On the next
Larry Connors USA.
The story behind the story. This month, 1988, the U.S. Navy shoots down a civilian jetliner.
Larry Connors USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
The Allman Report, sponsored by Buckingham Pest Control and Insulation.
Good afternoon. Yeah, Vicky, I don't know why I said Mario Lanza. That's just a name that comes out of the past for me, but it wasn't Mario Lanza in South Pacific. It was Izio Pinza and Mary Martin, who also played Peter Pan famously. That version of South Pacific in 1950-49 won 10 Tony Awards and a Pulitzer Prize for drama. That's how great of a story it was and is. Which is why you really don't see too many high schools kind of doing it. It's when you take South Pacific on, you got to do it right. It's a lot of heavy lifting in terms of the dramatics and making it right and getting it right. And they definitely got it right at the Muni last night. So if you can, check it out. It's really great. And Municipal Theater is fantastic. And the Muni is a legend. All right. So the great thing about the Democrat Party discovering that rape allegations can damage the reputation of a Nazi, and Plattner goes away. The good news for the Trump administration is that they can start emptying the pockets of all the people on TV calling them rapists and abusers and whatever it is they want to call them. Hassan Piker, I can't even actually play it for you, but it's Trump is rape and Trump is this and rape, and Trump ought to sue. The View tried to do a little bit of that subtly and didn't quite make it past the ABC lawyers. And so this is how it went for them when they were trying to somehow make it out to be that he's a rapist and doing all this kind of stuff. And they tried to compare it to Pete Hegseth. And so what happened is the lawyers had to come in and tell them not to do that. And so it didn't end well for them. And some reason X is not letting me play it, and that must be because ABC has taken it.
And he's in the cabinet, but I should say that Pete
That wasn't voters, though.
Pete Hegseth and Brett Kavanaugh have repeatedly denied all allegations of sexual assault. It wasn't the voters, but it was certainly...
Yeah, so Sonny Hostin had to be told by the lawyers to say the words have denied this, because initially they came out basically trying to insinuate that it is true that Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth sexually assaulted somebody, and they did not. And so at this point, it was great that somebody stepped in and said, you're going to get sued, but I think they ought to sue these people into oblivion at some point. So that could be happening, but ABC is like, please don't do this anymore. All right, on to our train conductor friend. So this guy on July 4th triggered these passengers. They were offended by him because he's kind of one of these guys who's hired. He's a seasonal worker, and he's kind of like the national park tour guide or something. Seasonal worker, and this is what happened. It was really pretty interesting initially, and this TV station in Tennessee did the story. This is how it went.
What prompted them to press record during a moment that has now gone viral. The conductor operating the car was fired that same day.
Now in the video, you can hear that employee telling the riders that the U.S. is the best country in the world, and if they disagree, they can leave. Madison Sims spoke to the family that recorded the video. Madison?
David, the entire interaction was filmed by a father and son duo, and in it you can see this.
And the kind of the worst part of this is that the father and son duo are both being a bunch of Karens. Now, I'm not quite sure whether or not that would be considered one of the more professional ways to operate as a tour guide, but I'm not quite sure whether it's a firing offense or whether dad and son should have gone and squealed to the media about it.
Shock on some riders' faces, and now they're telling us those troubling comments were made throughout the entire ride.
Father and son duo Charles and Nathan Shear were visiting Chattanooga from Florida for the 4th of July. Their travels led them to one of the city's most popular tourist attractions, the Incline Railway.
We're all loading in, and then just as it's about to start, the conductor just made sort of a opening statement of welcome to the train.
But just as their ride began, so did some disturbing comments.
And then made some sort of disparaging remarks about foreigners, and then the train started.
The car fell silent, and Nathan says...
By the way, you wouldn't catch me dead on the Incline Railroad in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Nothing wrong with Chattanooga, Tennessee, but the idea of taking a train up a mountain is just like, and dad and son, apparently that was their thrill of a lifetime.
He thought about it the entire way up the mountain. But once they got back into the car for the descent, he decided to...
The Lookout Mountain Incline Railway. Let's go. I'm like, nah, I'm going to stay here.
Press record.
To the very, very few Americans in here, happy Independence Day. To the rest of you, welcome to the greatest country on the face of the planet. And if you disagree, you can leave.
He doesn't really know who is American and who's not just by the way they look. So that kind of floored us.
Even if you were critical of the country, the idea that you have to leave if you if you have any complaints, the whole thing is weird to me.
They sent the video to CARTA, and that same day, the employee, who has now been identified as Jack Peterson, was removed from his role. CARTA says Peterson was not employed by them, but a seasonal employee hired by a contractor.
So that made me feel really good about CARTA and about their responsiveness to this and believing, it should have been handled.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, the guy was probably joking or whatever. And oddly enough, father and son were the only ones who complained. Like, no, I saw like black people on the train and everything else, and nobody else other than the sons complained. Now, again, probably not the best way to, especially like on something like so weird as that. It's like kind of going like to a quilt museum. It's kind of like, what is all this about? No offense if you go to quilt museums. I know he said if you don't like it, you can leave. It's like, that's all funny. I don't know. I'm not his boss though, so who knows? It's Common Sense Radio, folks. Thank you for listening. Ashland, thank you. Coming up, Tony Colombo and Company. This is News Talk STL.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour at Town Hall. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. A former Olympic canoe racer pleading not guilty today to deliberately damaging the recently renovated Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool. Norm Eisen is representing the suspect, David Hearn, and he says he pleaded not guilty because he is not guilty.
This is a case that should never have been brought. Davy Hearn is innocent, and we are going to fight this case and entrust the justice system to do the right thing.
The 67-year-old David Hearn formerly competed in 3 Summer Olympics as part of the canoeing team. He is now of Bethesda, Maryland, indicted last week on a single felony count and could face time behind bars if convicted. A federal climate research office now being revived with new leadership in place. Here's